Ariela Weinberg and Biniam Shiber's complicated journey on 90 Day, The Last Resort, what really happened behind the password drama. In Part 3 of the 90 Day, The Last Resort Tell-All, Ariela Weinberg and Biniam Shiber's relationship took center stage as the former couple reflected on their emotional and often tense experience at the resort. Originally featured on 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, and 90 Day Fiancé, Ari and Beanie's relationship has spanned nearly 5 years and includes a marriage, a son named Aviel, whom they lovingly call Avi, and a long list of ups and downs that brought them to the last resort. They weren't alone in this journey. Alongside them were 5 other couples from the franchise: Jasmine Pineda and Gino Palazzolo, Stacy Silva and Florian Sukaj, Natalie Mordopseva and Josh Weinstein, Brandon Gibbs and Julia Trubkina, and Rob Warren and Sophie Sierra. Each couple checked into the retreat with hopes of healing and understanding, and for some, salvaging their relationships. For Ari and Beanie, the objective was clear: find a way to co-parent effectively for Avi's sake, rather than rekindle their romance. A long road to the last resort. Ari and Beanie's love story began with promise, but early challenges quickly tested their bond. Just 3 months into dating, Ariela discovered she was pregnant. The couple welcomed their son Avi and began to build a life together despite cultural differences, communication struggles, and constant relocations between the US and Ethiopia. Tensions began to mount as Beanie's nightlife and social habits clashed with Ari's vision of a stable family life. Despite support from Ari's parents, especially her mom Janice, the couple's relationship couldn't weather all the storms. By the time they arrived at the last resort, they had already accepted that their marriage was unlikely to survive, but both were determined to work on communication and boundaries for the sake of their son. The password controversy. One of the most talked about issues between Ari and Beanie on the last resort centered on Beanie's social media accounts. From the moment he arrived at the resort, Beanie made it clear that regaining access to his social media was a top priority. He claimed that Ari had changed all the passwords, essentially locking him out of his own online presence. At first glance, this created the impression that Ari was controlling or retaliatory, a narrative that sparked tension among the cast and even viewers. But during the reunion tell-all, the situation took a surprising turn. Ari's mother Janice appeared on stage and provided key context that shifted the tone of the conversation. She explained that Ari's decision to withhold Beanie's passwords wasn't rooted in control, but in concern. According to Janice, Beanie had been targeted by individuals who attempted to take advantage of his growing fame. Some of the people that have been involved with Biniam are opportunists, Janice stated. There have been situations, one in particular, where after the woman realized there wasn't going to be a relationship, she tried to extort Biniam. Ari's side of the story. Ariela took the opportunity to clarify her actions, noting that her decision to control Beanie's social media access was made with his best interests in mind. Beanie, can we both admit that part of the reason I changed that password is to protect you? She asked on stage, hoping to get some acknowledgement from him. Beanie appeared hesitant, not fully confirming or denying Ari's reasoning. However, Janice and Ari insisted that the risks Beanie faced were real. According to them, the woman involved had allegedly threatened to spread false information about Beanie on social media unless she received money. It's almost every single woman that Beanie's been involved with that didn't have good intentions, Ari explained. They wanted something from him. He's been on TV, he has followers, and people assume that means money or influence. Ari emphasized that her priority was to shield Beanie from further harm, especially since his trusting nature made him particularly vulnerable to these kinds of situations. While the methods she used may have raised questions, her motives, she insisted, were protective. A mother's concern. Janice echoed her daughter's sentiment, noting that Beanie's naivety has often put him at risk. She pointed out that in the world of reality TV fame and social media, vulnerability can easily be mistaken for availability, and opportunists are quick to pounce. The revelation shed new light on what had seemed like a petty dispute over passwords. Instead, it became a conversation about trust, protection, and the blurry lines between privacy and safety in high-profile relationships. The cast reacts, a shift in perspective. The rest of the cast, who had initially been skeptical of Ari's intentions, began to understand her position more clearly after hearing about the extortion attempt. Rob Warren noted that the situation made more sense now, especially after hearing it from both Ari and her mother. I could see how she might feel like she was the only one who could stop something like that from happening, Rob said. Florian added that hearing Janice's side helped him understand Ari's motivations better too. Ari, however, expressed frustration that the cast seemed to believe her only after her mother weighed in. "You guys are just listening now because my mom said it," she said, suggesting that she had tried to explain herself during filming but wasn't taken seriously. The cast responded by saying they hadn't known the full story, particularly the part about extortion. Ari clarified that she had kept quiet during filming because Benny didn't want the issue brought to light. She had been trying to protect both his privacy and reputation. "If I was protecting Benny, then I wouldn't have said anything about the extortion during the show," Ari pointed out, "and I didn't." Her decision to remain silent, while well-intentioned, left others in the dark and contributed to misunderstandings that lingered until the tell-all. Where do Ari and Benny go from here? As the tell-all concluded, it became clear that Ari and Benny are no longer a romantic couple, but their bond as co-parents is far from over. Their ability to navigate difficult topics like trust and safety, especially under public scrutiny, demonstrated their mutual commitment to doing what's best for Avi. The password drama, while initially sensational, ultimately revealed deeper layers of concern, fear, and loyalty. It exposed how the pressures of fame and social media can complicate even the most basic aspects of communication. It also reminded viewers that not all protective actions are easy to explain, and not all relationship boundaries are black and white. As Janice noted, Biniam will eventually need to learn how to protect himself, especially as he continues to live in the public eye. But for now, it's clear that Ariela still feels a sense of responsibility, not just as Avi's mother, but as someone who shared years of life with Beanie. Their story may have shifted from partners to co-parents, but the love they share for their son remains a powerful force, driving them toward healing, growth, and hopefully mutual respect.